Bobby Sparkles didn't get about much these days. Not because he didn't want to, but because the pavements were cracked, the buses were slow, and the cars, oh, the cars, zoomed past in a frenzy, their drivers too busy slurping enormous hot milks to notice a man in a wheelchair trying to cross the road. One day, over tea and a biscuit, Bobby mentioned to a friend that he knew an aeronautical engineer. "You should visit him," said the friend. "Maybe he can improve your wheelchair." That seemed like a nice day out, so Bobby made arrangements. On the day of the visit, he rattled down the broken paths, dodging potholes, abandoned shopping trolleys, and weaving between e-bikes strewn across the way. Finally getting to the bus stop, he waited and waited and waited. When the bus finally arrived, some passengers huffed and puffed as Bobby used the ramp. "He's taking ages," someone grumbled. "Maybe if we funded public transport properly, this wouldn't be such a faff," Bobby said. But nobody was listening. The bus trundled out of town. At one point, traffic ground to a halt. "What's the hold-up?" Bobby asked the driver. "Retail village," she sighed. "Everyone's queuing to buy things they don't need." Eventually, the bus emptied, and Bobby was the last passenger. "Nobody comes out this far anymore," the driver told him. "They might cancel the route soon. Don't miss the last bus back." Bobby waved goodbye and rolled into the unknown. He followed the directions scribbled on a piece of paper. Birds sang. A river shimmered in the sun. Stopping on a bridge, Bobby watched the water lapping against the rocks. A slow flotilla of rubbish drifted past. Then a dark shadow passed over the river. Bobby looked up. The sun was still shining, but something huge blocked the light. A giant sheet fluttered down, landing right on top of him. "Oh dear," said Bobby, rolling blindly until he bumped into a driveway. "You've found our flag!" cried a voice. Two people peeled the fabric off Bobby's head. It wasn't just any sheet. It was a flag, now being hoisted up a tall pole. Bobby knew that flag. He wasn't a fan. People used it to stop conversations before they even started. "Thanks for returning it," said the couple. "Now, if you wouldn't mind moving along, we're about to do some very important work." Bobby squinted. There was no work happening. Just a massive house, two expensive cars, and a dog so polished it probably had a butler. Before Bobby could leave, the man crossed his arms. "Where are you from?" he demanded. "Where are you going?" Taking a sip of his huge hot milk cup, Bobby explained he was visiting the engineer at the end of the lane. The man spat his hot milk onto his brand new chinos. "That man is a disgrace. He collects old scrap metal and hedgerow rubbish. He's made the place look like a junkyard, and all sorts of people keep hanging about." Bobby looked at the enormous house, the pristine garden, and the furious man who somehow had everything and still wasn't happy. "How did we end up like this?" Bobby wondered. Shaking his head, he rolled away, eager to finally reach the engineer's workshop. At last, he arrived at a shed full of wonderful contraptions. Towers of gears, cogs, and bicycle wheels leaned against the walls. The engineer, a cheerful man with oil-stained hands, greeted him warmly. "I heard you need a better way to get around," the engineer said, pulling back a curtain. Behind it stood a wheelchair. But not just any wheelchair. It had wings. It had boosters. It had buttons labeled Sprinkle Mode and Launch. "I made a few improvements," the engineer grinned. "Give it a go." Bobby pressed launch. The chair hovered up from the floor. The engineer told Bobby how to steer. "Look right to go right, left to left, etc.," he said. "Lean forward to go forward." Bobby leaned forward. The wheelchair floated forward out from the workshop. Bobby looked back at the engineer. "This is amazing. What do I do now?" With a slightly nervous tone. The engineer said, "Just say go." Bobby said, "Just say goo." With a whoosh and a puff of socialist magic dust, He soared into the sky, his scarf fluttering behind him like a hero in an old adventure novel. Higher and higher he flew, over towns and villages, sprinkling fairness, kindness, and well-funded infrastructure wherever he went. As he passed over a city, roads smoothed out and new bus lanes appeared. As he soared above a grumpy office, all the people stopped working behind screens. Magically, the office was reconfigured in a new layout. Now people could work in a different way, solving problems and with agency. And when he zoomed over the giant house with the angry man, a mysterious sign appeared on his lawn. This property is now a community library and residential college for refugees. Over the retail village, the sprinkles worked their magic. Shops transformed into sustainable community hubs where people could swap, upcycle, and repair belongings instead of buying new ones. Over the river, the sprinkles cleaned the water, and the fish leapt up in delight, giving Bobby little fin high fives as he passed. Over this land, this silly, silly land, the sprinkles help people grow, help them talk, help them listen. For those people who like money, new investment funds were set up so people could earn sizable returns by investing in UK energy, engineering, transport, and education. But Bobby had only covered a small part of the UK. There was still so much to do. Just then, a zip and ping shot past him. Looking down, he saw a man shooting at him with a gun. The man was shouting, "Die, you commie bastard!" He knew it would take hard work, and he knew he'd need help. Can you help Bobby? What needs fixing where you are? Join us for more adventures with Bobby Sprinkles soon.